Hey everyone, happy Monday. It is Ask Me Monday, September 14th. I'm Vickie Howell, here to answer your questions and chat knitting, crochet, craft, life in general, whatever you want to talk about. I just got back from New York last night with my husband. We had such a great trip. It was really wonderful. We went and visited the memorial on September 11th. We didn't actually go in, but we were there just by happenstance, not by happenstance being there, but at the time that they were doing a motorcade processional, and there must have been maybe 1,000 bikes. And they were all police officers, firefighters, and then vets just coming in on motorcycles. And other than the noise of the motorcycles, it was completely silent on the street. And there was, just hundreds and hundreds of people. It was so moving. And it was hard to, I know that for New Yorkers, it's got to be really difficult to have, the worst day of their life, basically a tourist attraction. And I totally get that. But as an American, a non-New Yorker American, to be there on September 11th, it felt disrespectful not to go. And I think that it was such a horrific time for us as Americans that just having that point of contact is important. But the air is different there. It's heavier. I told my husband it almost felt hard to walk. Just the sorrow and the bravery and the resilience. It was really incredible. Anyway, so we did that, and I see people slowly logging on, which is great. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Maxine. Hi, Alana. Hi, Steen. We also went to see one of our good friends is in a band, and it's a great band to knit, crochet, craft, whatever, write. I love to write by their music. It's all instrumental. It's guitar-driven kind of indie rock. You may know them from, they're called Explosions in the Sky. I don't know if I told you that. But you may have heard their stuff. They wrote all the music for Friday Night Lights, both the show and the movie. Just wonderful stuff. Anyway, so they got to open for Death Cab for Cutie at Madison Square Garden. So it was just such a huge moment, and I just could not be more proud of Mark and the rest of the guys at Explosions in the Sky. And his daughter is one of my daughter's best friends. So that was just a great moment to see somebody thrive in that way. And I was talking to one of my dear friends, Chelsea, who is a therapist, but she also does a lot of work sort of abroad involving Buddhism. And she said that in Buddhism that the Buddhists have a word for that feeling where you're just overcome with empathic joy for somebody else. And we don't have a word for that in English, but that's what I feel anytime that I see somebody. It doesn't matter if it's a baby walking their first steps or making their first steps, or if it's, one of my friends on a magazine cover, or if it's, somebody I love doing well at their job, or somebody playing at Madison Square Gardens. It's just the best feeling. So it was an all-around great weekend. I got to visit Brett Barra, who you know as the host for 8 years of Knitting Daily, Knit and Crochet Daily, Knit and Crochet Now. Oh, wait. I was the host of Knitting Daily. So normal. I was actually the host for a while of Knitting Daily TV. I think hers was Knit and Crochet Now. Lord, live. Sometimes, you just gotta love it. Anyway, she stopped. She had baby girl twins a few months ago, so we got to go visit them. And God, talk about two beauties. So I have pictures on my Facebook page of that visit, and they're wearing wee baby shawls that I made them that are completely impractical, but pretty adorable. So they have these little Madeline Tosh lace shawls and stuff, which is pretty dang cute. And for work, I got to, I also met with the editor of Knit Simple, and then I spent the evening with the woman who runs all of Soho Publishing, and also the editor-in-chief of Vogue Knitting, and she's one of my dear friends, Trisha Malcolm. And so all in all, we were working on a plan for next year's Knit Simple knit-alongs. We do them, we kind of plan them and shoot them all in 1 year, or sorry, at one time for the entire year. So we came up with kind of a plan for that. So that's exciting. And then I also have a book through Soho coming out in April called We Garter Stitch, like W-E-E. And it sort of shows how beautiful and modern garter stitch can be, and that it's not always beginning if you do short rows or mosaic knitting with garter and farrell. So I got to see some of the pictures from that shoot. It's all adorable baby items, so I'm excited about that. And then we also talked about VK Live. I don't know if any of you are going to Vogue Knitting Live. It is at the beginning of October in Chicago, but I will be there with the Yarnspirations crew. We will actually be in a booth this time. They're working with they have a yarn called Karen United, and it benefits the Children of Fallen Patriots, Children of Fallen Patriots Foundation, the sales from it. And so as part of that, they've been asking for blankets to make what will be a world record sized stocking, huge stocking. And the point being to raise awareness, and then all of the blankets will be disassembled and then donated to different charities. And it's been a really great experience. The last time I heard, they'd already donated over like $100,000 to this organization. If you're not familiar with it, it helps fund education for children of fallen patriots. Anyway, so we're going to be piecing together that, and we're going to be asking people that are already on the market floor if they'll just come and donate, 10 minutes of their time, 20 minutes of their time, 5 minutes of their time, whatever it is, to help us stitch this together for a good cause. And the big world record unveiling will be in January. So thank you. Melissa loves my cheetah top. It's a dress from Target. Most of my dresses come from Target. Somebody said they like my hair. I really appreciate that. I put it up. I had Pilates this morning, so I got lazy and did not do anything with it. So thanks. Okay, so more news, and then I promise I'm going to get to questions. For those of you that have kids in your life, I put a really cute yarny project up on the Yarnspirations blog on last Thursday. I blog for them every Thursday, and it's a fringe ghost. They don't need to know how to knit, crochet, anything. It's just sort of a flowy ghost, super easy to make. So if you go to yarnspirations.com and then click on the blog tab, you can make that with your kiddo really fast. And then if you have an iPhone, I don't know if other phones do this too, but I also shot kind of a funny slow-mo video, and it's also on my Facebook page. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you know how to get to my Facebook page, but it's just facebook.com/Vickie Howell. And I had it blowing in the wind, slow-mo and all creepy like. And it's another fun way to have fun with your kids and show them how they can be creative, like turning yarn art into a mini, a little mini movie. So that was fun. Also, announced through, while you're at the Yarnspirations blog, check out the posts that we're going to be doing another knit along. And this one is, well, it's a knit along and a crochet along. So Mikey from the Crochet Crowd will be handling the crochet along, and I believe they're doing this big, beautiful shawl. And I think it's in Bruges is the technique they're using, if I remember correctly. And I'm going to actually be working with a cowl, and I'll show it to you now, that the Yarnspirations team designed, and it's using brioche stitch, so it's hard to see because I'm so close. But the cool thing is that it's reversible, so it's dark on one side and light on the other. I put a video up on Facebook just kind of telling you about it, but so I'm going to walk you through how to do brioche, which I'm not going to kid you, I got to brush up on too. It's not my best skill, but I'm going to learn it and master it for you, my friends. And then also applied I-cord. So this one is stepping it up a bit from other knit-alongs that I've done, at least with Yarnspirations. This is an intermediate project, but I'm going to do a video and show you how to do that. So if you go over to the blog, there's more information. We're actually launching it at the end of this month, I believe September 29th. So you can go get your supplies now and be ready. And then while I have this in my hand, I believe, who was it? Emily Furta had asked a question on my Facebook page about if I had any advice for wearing infinity scarves or cowls based on what shape your body is. So I think that her point was, I see Chris Lopez saying you're dying to learn brioche, so I expect you to be a part of this knit along. So I think her point was that, like, maybe if you're a little bustier, if you've got a scarf that's in a loop, it might create kind of a cowl if you wear it to, I mean, kind of a shelf, like a cowl shelf, if you wear it at the wrong length. And I totally get that, because before 3 children sucked them away, I actually was quite busty. And so anything like crop toppy or like boleros, like anything like that, it just looked like I was like, you know, like it was like a shelf for clothing, and nobody really needs that. So my advice is, if you are bustier, I would go for shorter. Either just, if you're doing 1 loop, see, this one's bigger, this one's longer, but I would choose a shorter one so that you're well above your bust range. Or I would do much longer. So this length wouldn't be good. You can't really see because of where I am, because it would probably just, you know, jet out. But if you did it much longer, then you could loop it around. This isn't going to really work because it's not quite long enough, and double it so that you have a layer here and then a longer layer right below the bust. And then it'll kind of draw the eye. There won't be a specific point where the eye is drawn. If you happen to have, if your hips are kind of your more problemy area, I would avoid the whole infinity scarf thing that's long, because that's going to draw the eye down that way. I would do the opposite. I would wear one that's more kind of bust level. Hopefully that answers the question. And now I'm going to go back to the news stuff that I wanted to talk about. Okay, so that knit along, be looking for that, Yarn Inspirations blog. It starts September 29th, but you can go ahead and get your supplies now so that you can start with us. Also, Knit Simple Knit Alongs. We just finished one up not too long ago for some great hats. Hopefully you've bookmarked that project, because it would be a really good holiday project. Pretty fast to make. But the next one is coming up. I believe it starts October 13th. I need to check the dates for sure. But the new issue, the holiday issue, is coming out any time. And this time we're going to be making some really simple mittens, but they have a, I believe I did a twisted rib cuff, and they've got a duplicate stitch. It would be really helpful if I had a picture for you. I meant to bring that with me, and I didn't. Duplicate stitch snowflake, like a traditional snowflake motif. But it's a great project if you've always wanted to do a gusset of a thumb and never had before, working in the round, or if you just want to churn out a bunch of gifts, because you can make plain pairs and then embroider different things on them. You can do the snowflake, or you could do an initial, or whatever you want. Or you could just use like a self-striping yarn or whatever and call it a day, and just churn these out, because they're really fast and fun. So I'm going to be putting up information about that shortly. But again, that's going to be in about a month. And we are using that Karen United yarn for that. So remember, the sales for that do go towards that awesome organization. You can keep a bridge of all this stuff. I know I'm kind of all over the place as far as where I'm posting and what I'm doing. If you follow me on Facebook, I'm hoping you see stuff, but you never know because of their algorithm. I think most of the people don't, you never know. Unless you go in like specifically and make sure that you're following this page, you may or may not see it. But if you follow me on Instagram at Vickie Howell, and I have an E at the end of my name, so remember that. I post stuff there all the time. Twitter, same thing, at Vickie Howell. Or on Pinterest if you just like to see pretty things or what's inspiring me, and that is at I am Vickie Howell. Okay, oh, for viewers, for the next week, from Monday to Monday, I'm giving you a special discount code for the Trick or Sweet dress, that pattern that I just put up in Ravelry about a week or 2 ago. It's size for girls. I think it's 18 months to size 6. Pretty sure that's what it is. Super fast. It's supposed to be for Halloween, but you could just not do those colors and use it for any time. So if you feel like it'll give you anxiety to try and fit something in before Halloween, just remember you could swap it out for red and white and some cool candy cane material, or just do solid and whatever you want. It's fabric on the bottom and it's crocheted at the top. The discount code is Ask Me Monday, and that's in my Ravelry shop. I will post the link in the liner notes after this show, but if you go to my Ravelry shop and type in all caps Ask Me Monday, you will get it for $3 instead of $6, so 50% off for this next week. So please support an independent designer. I know y'all are used to everything being for free from me, but I wasn't actually paid to design this one, so I have to pay for tech editing and time and all that stuff some way. So I really appreciate the support. Later today on the Clover blog, I also blog twice a month for Clover. It's also on my site, so both places. I'm going to be posting a great a great knitting pattern for a men's beanie. It's a unisex beanie, really. Really pretty, soft, two-tone gray. And it's actually one that I made for my own brother-in-law for his birthday that just passed. So look for that by the end of the day. I have to do that right after this. So that will be up. Okay, let me see. I'm going to answer. So this is what I'm going to do. Well, let me stop and see if there's anything that I can answer really quickly. Okay, Sheena Dodson said, I see that you knit it. I just have never heard of I-cord, so I have no clue what the purpose of it is. Okay, so I-cord is, it's a cord, as the name infers. And so you could use it for, it kind of looks like piping in a way. So if you're doing applied I-cord, it would give kind of a piping edging. But just on its own, it's great to use as like the ties for a hat. If you're using a really finer yarn, you could make like a string like to be like a belt or whatever, a tie on baby's pants or whatever. And it's made with very few stitches. I have videos on my YouTube channel, or I think I have a video on my YouTube channel showing how to make it, how to knit it. And that's also at Vickie Howell. It's basically you just cast on 3 or 4 stitches depending on what the pattern calls for, and you knit it, and it has to be done on a circular needle or a double pointed needle. You knit all the stitches, but instead of switching the needles over, you just slide them to the opposite end and then you knit them again. So that means that your working yarn, you have to pull from the back to knit them. So what happens is the fabric starts to fold in on itself and it creates a cord. So I hope that makes sense, given I'm not actually showing you. All right, I'm going to get to the questions that I wrote down that were posted earlier. I just picked a few. The last one that I'll do will be a really short demo. But before that, Frances Fuller asked, how do you find tech editors? What's sort of like the going rate per pattern? So to find your own tech editor, I would probably just go onto Ravelry and go to forums and type in search tech editor and see what comes up. And you'll get a range. You'll get a range from, newer tech editors that may charge you less because they're trying to get experience to really advanced tech editors. The most advanced probably won't be at advertising at all because they're probably swamped with magazines. But I use a couple are dear friends, and then I work with a woman who I met through, one of my corporate gigs. And I would say the going rate-ish is between $20 and $30 per hour. So if you're making if it's just a, basic scarf that is in one size, it's probably not going to take any more than an hour for them to tech edit it. But if you're working on an intarsia sweater that you want sized, and a lot of them will size too if you don't want to grade your own patterns, sized from, 18 months to, 7 years or whatever it is, that's going to take hours because charts are involved. And so, you just have to budget that in. But I guarantee you, and this is why it's really important that people understand why people need to charge for pattern designs. Intellectual property is one of the hardest things to justify for people to pay for. It's very difficult to get that in people's minds as being a norm, but it takes a lot of time. And anybody can be a designer thanks to blogs and Etsy and Ravelry. Anybody can hit publish, which is wonderful because we can all share this information. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be accurate or they're going to follow basic yarn standards, things that will assure knitters, especially knitters that are newer, or if you're working on a complex pattern, that all of the information's accurate, that the math is on, that you're going to get the fit that they say, that the gauge is right. So you have to invest a little bit of money into a pattern, but it's worth it, I promise. If you want to do a job, you should do it right, kind of thing. All right, so, somebody said you love my polish. It's all coming off and gross, but thanks. You're probably talking about this one. They're gel nails. I have really peely, gross nails, but because my hands are always under cameras, they need to be painted and stuff, so I've been doing gel. Just the gel so they won't break. But so anyways, it's all gel. It's like a really light pink. And then I have a little sparkle for sparkle fingers down there, but they're a little nasty. They need to be done now. Okay. Lori Conan, Kanan, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, wants to know if Nitty Gritty, the show I was the host of when it existed, is available on DVD. I cannot tell you how often I get this question, and I hate that the answer is always no. They have never wanted to make it available for digital download or on DVD. So unfortunately, the answer is no, but I really, truly appreciate that people still ask about it and still want to see it. Lorna asks if I'm going to have any new yarns to replace Sheepish and Sheepish Stripes, which, as I've mentioned before, are being discontinued. So as of now, no, there's no plans. If you would like to see more yarns from me, please post on the Yarnspirations Facebook page, or maybe send them a note, through their website. Maybe if there's some demand. But a lot of it has to do on also letting the craft stores know, letting Joanne know, letting Michaels know, letting AC Moore know, because so much of what the actual manufacturers create is based on what yarn stores are actually buying, or craft stores are actually buying. So if there's something you'd like to see, let your craft stores and let Yarnspirations know. That would be great. Okay, I think I got everybody's except for the one I'm going to show a quick demo on, but let me make sure that there's nothing here that I want to answer that's coming through live. Rosalie Millett wants to know if I'll ever do a live chat during the evening time. I'm not at all opposed to it. I've just learned through, I'm kind of a social media nerd. Like, I've done a lot of research and I've looked into a lot of stuff, and I've just learned that consistency is really important. So I wouldn't probably do this, but I guess I could do a special edition. But yes, I am. I just, I have 3 kids, and my studio's at home. So a lot of times the evenings get a little rushed. It's like gloriously quiet right now, which is so rare because everybody's gone. So, Grace Kirkendall wants to know if I'll ever create a line for a local yarn store. So I actually did do that 9 years ago, maybe less than that, somewhere, for a Southwest Trading Company. And it was a higher end. I had 4 yarns through them, and it just didn't take off. They were higher end. They were at least $13 a hank. And the yarn industry, the actual boutique yarn industry, is really struggling right now. So I would love to be a part of anything that gets people excited about knitting and crochet. I don't know if that's it or not, but I like to always keep options open. All right. Any last questions before I show the last thing and then we wrap up? Let me wait and see. I don't know if I can scroll through. Oh, I can scroll through. Relax, enjoy. Okay, just once again, wanted to remind you the code is Ask Me Monday, all caps, to get that pattern at 50% off in my Ravelry store. Okay, I don't see anything else. So the last thing was requested by a frequent viewer, Steam Person. She wanted to know how to get rid of the gap that you find when you're knitting in the round, like if you're making a hat, when you're joining it. So there's kind of a few ways that you can do it. I personally, I don't know, it doesn't really bother me, so I kind of ignore it. But you can use the tail after you're done and, just kind of pull it and weave it in, kind of pull that gap together and weave it in. That's the easiest way and usually what I do. And then I'm going to show you another way, which works really well as well. I'm about to show you. But, you know who actually is a great resource is dummies.com. Sounds weird to, I'm not calling any of you dummies, but I know that I personally, I've learned a lot from that site because there's a lot of great experts that come and write for that. So if you go to dummies.com, there are several different methods for joining the gap when you knit in the round without creating, any weird hold. So I'm going to flip around the camera once again. Because Facebook requires you to have your phone this way, my regular tripod doesn't work. So I have to use a weird combination of books and baskets and DVDs. Got to use them for something, right? To act as my stand. Oh, and I'm also considering doing a podcast for people to listen to, just while they're knitting and crocheting or on the subway or wherever you are. And I'm wondering if that's something you guys would be into and what kind of topics you'd like to hear. Really what kind of came to me this morning was one of my favorite projects that I've ever worked on is a book that I wrote 5 years ago called Craft Corps, like Peace Corps, but craft, so CRRPS. And it's interview with, gosh, I think it was like 25 artists, crafters, illustrators, creators who are in the professional world. And oh, thank you. I'm getting a little bit of support. I appreciate that. And I just really loved it. It was conversations with them about just everything about how they became a professional, whatever, XYZ, what their background was, what inspires them. And the coolest thing is that I found in our industry that differs from many, and I think I spoke to this last week, is that you don't have to, there's not a direct path to get here. You know, you don't have to have a master's in fine art. You don't have to have a degree or in anything, but some people do. And some people, their pathways to getting to where they are seem to have differed completely. And I just felt like, I want to do a Craft Corps podcast and sort of bring those conversations back to life, because I just really enjoyed that. And if you haven't read the book, I think it's still in print. Go on Amazon. I think it's super cheap because it's so old. It's called Craft Corps. Okay, for real now, I'm going to show you this little tip for joining your gap. And by the way, if there's something that you'd rather see from me as a podcast, please post it here. I'd like to hear it. All right, I'm going to do the magic flip around. Wish me luck. Maybe I am. Hooray, it worked. Okay, so let's say we're knitting in the round. So we've cast on all the stitches. So one tip, let's see if I can give you a little more light, if I pull back a bit. So one tip is you cast on, but you cast on one additional stitch than whatever the number is. So I'm all set up to knit in the round, right? I've got the stitches that I just cast on are in my right hand. The very first stitch that I cast on is in my left hand. So I'm going to take my yarn to the back as if I were knitting. Then I'm going to slip the first stitch. So the first one that I cast on, actually, that's wrong. I'm going to slip the last stitch that I cast on purlwise to the left-hand needle. Sorry, I was looking in the reverse in the camera. Now, it might get a little loose because it is the last stitch, so you'll have to give it a tug. So now you take that stitch that you just slipped and you knit it together with the first one, and you can see, and then you just continue knitting. There's no gap. There's no gap from that loose stitch hanging by. And so now you're back to that, or your original stitch count. You don't have a gap. It was super easy. And hopefully, Steen, that answers your question, and those pesky gaps will no longer be there. All right, everyone. As always, it was really great to hang out with you. I've just kind of let it go on how long these take. I realized I have zero control. Well, I could have control if I planned more and didn't just talk, but let's be honest. So later on today, don't forget to check the Clover blog for a free hat pattern that's, I think, pretty beautiful and unisex, and Fringe Ghost on the Yarnspirations blog. And then keep your eyes open for the Knit Simple Knit Along and for the Yarnspirations Brioche Cowl Knit Along. All right, I will see you next week, same time, same place. Please, please, please share this. I don't know who gets to see it and who doesn't. I know some people get alerts on their phone, but it's still kind of a mystery. So if you would share the video, I'd super appreciate it. I'm still trying to figure out, you know, who knows what this will turn into. So I'm just trying to figure out what people respond to, but I can't know that if there's not eyes on it. All right, everybody, have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next week. Bye.